A child moves to a new city in the middle of nowhere. A child is nicknamed Big Ears. A student sleeps in and misses an exam. How do we teach our children resilience? Dr. Denise Hunter, also known as Dr. Denise Beaujolin, will share her insights on resilience and how she helps her mentees deal with bullying. At age 17, she survived a severe bout of depression, an experience that shaped her future. In the following years, she dedicated her life, boundless energy, and passion to helping other teens and young adults maximize their mental and physical health. Dr. Hunter is currently practicing as an internal medicine physician in rural North Carolina. She is married with 3 teenage boys and owns Wisdom Teethinger, a multimedia company on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok with numerous catchy and inspirational videos. Stay tuned.
Baransu Balance Podcast with Dr. Ince emphasizes the interdependence and importance of a healthy mind, body, and soul.
Okay. Welcome, Dr. Denise Hunter, otherwise known as Dr. Denise Beaujolin from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much, Dr. Ince.
Thank you. Well, today we're going to start off with some advice for our high school students and college students. I want to know, how do you encourage resilience in this population? You know, the dog really did eat your homework. One child will have a meltdown and the other will bounce back and repeat the homework. So tell me, what is your approach?
Some of these things are genetic. Let's be honest. There's some genetic predisposition to handling adversity that just passed down from generation to generation. This can absolutely be learned, however, in the family, how you manage your adversity, because you are your children's first teachers. And if you children see you handling difficulty, handling a hiccup in the schedule, if they see how you manage it, they will really learn, like, you know what, it's going to be okay and I could move past this. You can also train your children. And so what I would even say is, you can acknowledge the fact that, you know what, mommy really could have just lost her mind when she couldn't find her keys, but I stopped and I knew that I have a spare key in the upstairs bedroom just for a situation like this. I just stopped when I got the spare key and called it a day. Or we could have just really just lost our mind when we missed our flight. And you just say, you know what? I didn't. We just decided that, you know what, we'll go on the next flight tomorrow. So you could mirror how you would love your children to behave. And this is the perfect way to just teach resilience.
Okay, so what you're saying, Dr. Denise, is that some of it is inherited, but most of it can be learned or is learned behavior. So if we're faced as so-called adults with an adverse, unforeseen situation, and we have a meltdown, they're watching us.
Exactly.
So,
Absolutely.
okay.
Where our children kids emulate what they see around them, even the ones that you think are just not even looking. They
Right.
are watching and fully aware of how the adults around them behave.
Right. So if instead of ranting and raging over a 30-minute phone call to the airline, you know, make lemon out of, or make
Exactly.
lemonade out of a lemon situation.
Exactly. Also, you know, the truth of the matter is, it's okay to show emotion. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay to be upset. No one's saying that you can't be upset.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you do afterwards. Do you just fall apart? Do you take to your bed for 3 days because it was so so devastating? Or do you say, you know what, you acknowledge it to them? I was really mad when they canceled our flight. And then, I just realized that we're just going to have to figure something out and do something local with the time.
Right.
Acknowledge the emotions that you feel,
Right.
because you're going to feel the emotions. It's
Right.
what you do after those
Right.
emotions occur. That's what really where resilience come in.
Okay, so some of the trauma definitely is real, like facing your senior high school or freshman year in college at the beginning of the pandemic. But resilience is an important trait. Okay,
Exactly.
so Dr. Denise, how do you encourage self-motivation? I understand that you have three sons. I don't want you to necessarily give them as examples, but one you have to remind over and over again to do the homework. And the other, it just seems to be in them. How do you encourage these different style learners to be self-starters?
Well, as parents, you're trying to train adults. Let's just be honest. You're never gonna be their whole entire life. And with each phase, you as parents, you really need to be encouraging more independence. And with that is accepting the consequences of actions. And that's a tough one for parents. Let's just be honest, because you tell them once, you tell them. Let me, for example, right now I am in the lovely grounds, on the lovely grounds of Raleigh Seventh-day Adventist Church, because my kids are in charge. All three of my boys love to sing, and they are in charge of the Vacation Bible School song service.
Okay.
Now,
I love your
they're,
background, by the way.
thank you. Why not make it nature?
It's not even a fake background.
No, it's real. It's real. If you all see the killer coming up behind me, please let me know, because I
Okay.
can't see behind me. We're out in the woods. And that they were responsible for this song service. They were going to lead all 80 of the kids in Vacation Bible School in the songs, and they have the motions in the world full of changes, and they have to do all that. And I provided the opportunity for them to practice, and sometimes they would, sometimes they won't. I was like, you know what? This You're representing yourself, and you're representing our family too. But what you do out there, it's going to be all of you. I'm not going to force you all to practice, and then you get up there and you do whatever. Now, the first day, they quickly realized that, oh my, we needed to get ourselves together. And then in the evening, they sure came home and practiced and were ready for the second day, the third day, and the fourth day. So it's the same thing, just really allowing them to fail. You cannot be
Okay.
there holding their hands all the time. Allow
Okay.
them to fail.
So I like that. That's almost the opposite of the helicopter hovering mom. Allow
Exactly.
them to suffer the consequences. If they don't want to do their
Exactly.
homework, then, I have to think about that. But that sounds good.
I mean,
Okay.
listen, God has given us all the gift of choice. And as a parent, you cannot take that away from your children. You have to teach them the value of the gift of choice, and the value that a lot of times your actions really determine your outcome. And if we are in the back fixing up their outcomes all the time, then they will never learn that. And it's very likely that they will not be as productive humans as they possibly be if they're always relying on somebody to motivate them to do something that will be even more beneficial for their own selves.
Okay. I like that approach, Dr. Denise. Quick question for our audience. What is the most important factor for children recovering from challenges, setbacks, trauma, or the ability to be resilient? Money, good genes, good schools? The above may help, but according to the Center of the Developing Child, Harvard University, The single most common factor for children who develop resilience is at least one stable and committed relationship with a supportive parent, caregiver, or other adult. I would encourage you to listen to Therese Lewis' TEDx talk, How to Build Resilient Children. Miss Lewis came from a violent, abusive background. The adult who pulled her to safety was her 18-year-old sister who adopted her at age 8. My next question is about bullying. How do you bully-proof your kids? I saw an episode recently about on Everyone Loves Raymond about bullying. And so the beloved granddaughter who the characters in the show thought was suffering from bullying was actually the bullier or the bully and was taunting a child on the school bus with thick glasses. So how do you bully-proof your child? Either side.
Well, one is I have 3 steps for that, and I'll let them out. Recognize reality, make a positive move, and connect with love. The first one is the recognizing reality. Bullies will always exist. We can try all we want to. If this is just human nature, you can go all the way back to the beginnings of the Bible with Cain and Abel. They were there. Their bullies will always be a part of human nature, our sinful human nature. And to try to bully proof our kids by getting rid of bullies, it's not going to happen. That's not the reality of the world that we live in right now. That's the one. The 2 is you will never be able to outbully a bully. Their hatred and meanness is coming from a place that you know nothing of. A lot of times it is coming from trauma. It is coming from anger, and just it's coming from deep in people are not mean just because. You'll never ever be able to outbully them. Don't even try that. The only way that you can really fight against bullying is love. You cannot allow them to have you behave outside of yourself. So those are the things that you really need to recognize. So now, second, the next step is make a positive move. What can you do? And let me back up another thing and about recognizing reality too, is that, I mean, if they're bullying you about your appearance, what you look like, where you live, sometimes it's true, you do wear glasses. Why not stand firm and like, okay, I wear glasses. And, okay, they're bullying you because you're Black. Okay, I'm Black. Okay, what? And so yeah, just really, rather than take what they're saying as an insult and make it penetrate into your soul, just recognize that maybe what they're saying is true and move on with your day. Take some of the fire out of their words. And of course, sometimes people are just being mean and making stuff up. With that, you don't accept that about yourself at all. The second step, though, is just making a positive move. And it goes back to the fact that I say you cannot outbully a bully. Find somewhere else to be, tell a teacher, tell a parent, let older people handle it. A lot of times these things are just way out of the wheelhouse of a little 12-year-old or 16-year-old to manage. Step outside of that and get an adult involved, especially if your life and your safety is in danger. And then the last one is connecting with love and develop your own friend group. Oftentimes bullies prey on the weak. And if you are fully embedded in a group that loves and supports you, they're not going to really come at you like that. Don't have yourself out on the periphery of social things. I mean, sometimes kids purposely isolate themselves from groups for various reasons. They feel that they don't fit in. They feel that this group is not worthy of them, whatever reason. Sometimes kids purposely isolate themselves, and try not to purposely isolate yourselves for various reasons. Not saying you can't be yourself. Don't isolate yourself. You, as humans, you need a social group, and we're just talking about bully proofing yourself. And if you have yourself in a situation where you're alone on an island, it's easy for somebody to attack you and bully you.
Okay, so I think it was my mother or someone said that to make a friend, you need to be a friend. So, but it's not always easy for young people in that situation to be on the outside. But so tell me again.
Question?
Oh, okay. So just to recap, you said that number one, realize that bullies will always be with us, and then and to realize that you'll never be able to out-bully the bully. And number two was to take some of the sting out of the bullying and say, well, yes, I am black, and what of it? And yes, I wear glasses, and what of it? Or yes, my
Exactly.
ears are big, and so are yours. Oh, no, that wasn't part of the eyes advice.
You're throwing your own, and that's okay. Yeah, we're
That was
working
my husband's
together.
advice. So, and then number three was to uh, not isolate yourself. Okay, just expand a little bit on how to not isolate yourself. What if you're the new kid on the block or in school and you're a little on the so-called shy side?
Um, you're gonna have to put yourself out there.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
yes,
Just
there's, and I am an extrovert naturally. I do have some introverted aspects to myself. You really, even if you're shy, there still is opportunity for you to meet people. We're not saying that you have to change yourself and become the most extroverted. You must understand that people need people. You cannot make
absolutely.
your whole career
Absolutely.
of being shy and isolated. If you isolate, if you practice isolating yourself from the time you're young till you're older, it's gonna be a difficult life. You must learn how to interact with other human beings because we live on the planet with other human beings. And I acknowledge
Absolutely.
that for some kids, it's not as easy because they're more shy. As parents, you need to recognize it and train them and teach them how to make friends, how to interact with other people. For some people, it comes easy, and so for some people, it doesn't. I don't accept shyness as an excuse to isolate yourself. You must learn how to interact with other human beings.
Okay. So thank you so much, Dr. Denise. We will air this program just before school starts. And I want you to tell me about your story. I'm dating back to late adolescence and your early 20s, and what made you so interested in taking care of adolescents? I know you're a family practice physician, but you have spent thousands of hours of your life devoted to the mental and physical well-being of this population. And why?
I've It all started honestly. I was always a youth leader, it seems. Even when I was a teen myself in churches, I was the person that the youth leader will call to help. We're having a program. Denise, can you come and help? It seems like that was what kind of God made me to be. And then when I was 17 years old, I went through an episode of depression, believe it
Okay.
or not. Yeah. And that's a
Yeah.
story that I can share another time in a more extensive format. But I went through an episode of depression and suicidally depressed, actually.
Oh, wow.
And after that is when I really decided, like, I don't ever want any teenager to experience what I experienced. I really looked back at some of the situations that I was going through that led to my depression. And with that, that's what I end up really talking to a lot of teens about: depression, how to manage it, how to prevent it from even occurring in the first place. And so that's where it all started, just my experience with depression. And from there, I was actually youth leaders at most of the churches that I attended, just really
Okay.
trying to pour into young people, just really teaching them and fortifying them for the experiences of
Okay.
becoming an adult.
Okay. And our audience can reach you and see your advice on YouTube, TikTok at where?
I am on YouTube at Wisdom Teethinger. So wisdom in your head, teeth in your mouth, ING Wisdom Teethinger YouTube. I actually go live every single Wednesday at 8:45 on a show I call Talking Truth to Teen Issues. Every week I will have a specific subject that I address in that live. There are several segments to the show. I know that's not, so typically I will have a specific issue that I talk about. Then I do have a segment in there where I give some quick advice on sex and sexuality and relationships. I
Okay.
have a teen archetype section where I talk about a typical type teenager that's out there. I also give a health advice section called Fount, and I usually round off the show with telling about a story about my life and lesson that I may have learned from it. So it's usually 5 segments to the show, and it's
Okay.
every Wednesday at 8:45 p.m. live on Wisdom Teethinger YouTube.
8:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yes, ma'am. And
Okay.
I'm on Instagram and TikTok too. YouTube is the place that I put the most energy in, and you can find links to my Instagram and TikTok from the YouTube channel.
Okay. So, Dr. Denise Hunter, Dr. Denise Beaujolin, uh, really appreciate this. I understand that you ran for, I think it was Mrs. America, and we
Thank
wish
you, Mrs.
wish
North Carolina.
oh, Mrs. North Carolina, we wish you well in all of your endeavors and appreciate you. Bye. Any last word before we sign off?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, growing up, this is specifically for the parents that have teenagers here online. If the teenagers are watching, growing up and becoming an adult is not easy if you're not deliberate about the decisions that you make. If you make
Absolutely.
deliberate decisions, if you fully understand what you're getting yourself into and plan and fortify yourself, it really is more of an easy process. If you're just winging it, trust me, it'll eat you alive. You don't have to wing it. Watch my show, Talking Truth to Teen Issues, to learn how to develop into an adult with no surprises.
Thank you. Good advice for mentors of our children. Number 1, model resilience for our children. You need to take care of your mental and physical health first to be a healthy model. Number 2, motivation. Allow your children to suffer the consequences of their actions. Lynn Lyons, author of Anxious Kids, Anxious Parents, agrees with you, Dr. Hunter. She says about parents trying to ensure their children's assignments are perfect. It's helpful in the long run to let your kids see the consequences of their actions. Number 3, you can't out-bully a bully. First, recognize reality. Yes, I have big ears, and what of it? Take the sting out of the bully. Second, do something positive. Get help. Third, connect with love. Avoid isolation. Remember, this program does not substitute for advice from your mental health or healthcare provider. I will end with paraphrasing a verse Denise often shares in her videos. God's wisdom lets theirs look like foolishness. This verse, 1 Corinthians 1:20, reminds us that there is a higher wisdom that can guide us through life's challenges. This is Dr. Christine Ince wishing you a balanced mind, body, and soul. Please like, subscribe, and share.